Hey everybody, Ben here from DMC Films, and we are back with part 2, finally, of how to make an art video. This is the technical side of things. We're going to be covering video editing, as well as a little bit of audio production, and finally wrapping it all up to what it takes to, upload it and make a complete video for the channel. So to start out, I am here in my video editor, which is Adobe Premiere Elements 10. It's a pretty decent program. It works well for what I need it to. It's nothing too fancy. Runs about 70 or 80 bucks, and definitely worth picking up if you're, whether you're using a Windows or Mac. It's a great step up from iMovie, and it's an amazing step up from Windows Movie Maker. So, first thing I need to do, I already downloaded the picture of the piece I just finished to the desktop or into my pictures. So I'm going to need to open up a computer and copy over my video for this particular project. Now I keep a folder specifically for art videos on my computer, and I'm able to move over. This one is called Eon Watchers, APTL. It's acrylic painting time lapse. So I'm going to take this video. Oh, I got apparently another video in there from something with my face. I'm not really sure what that one was at all. It's something, I don't know. Oh, that's right, it was a studio tour. So I've got that copying into there. I'm going to have to open up another folder to copy those ones over. Totally forgot about that. Video 13. And I keep all my videos on an external hard drive. It's a 1 terabyte drive. All my raw videos, because this particular project is already was at 3.44 gigabytes, which is pretty crazy, just for one project. So I make sure I have plenty of space and plenty of memory on my computer to run and edit the videos that I need to. So this other one was Studio Tour. And there it goes. That'll be an upcoming video as well. That one's got some shorter clips, so it's not anywhere near as long. It's only just over a quarter gig, so that's not too bad. So over in the video editor, we're going to come over and bring in the things that we already have finished, which is our painting right here, which will come up a little later. And we also want to have our audio track, which I actually finished already. But just to show you guys, I use a program here called Ableton Live Intro. I have a project that I composed, got all the parts all across here, intro, bridge, verse. I named all of these throughout the course of the project. And you come in here, put it out in linear time, and then record it with this bar here, and that gets exported as a WAV file, which we can import into Premiere. So we roll that. It's not in here, is it? It's in here. I always forget where I put these files. Sort of. I have a separate thing for audio files. We have our Eon Watchers audio track, which is just about 4:16 there, which we can edit our video to fit that time. Have just another minute for that to load, and once that loads, we can import it into our media editor here and get started editing. Alright, so we have our files indexing over here, and you want to make sure it finishes doing all of its loading here in Premiere before you decide to drag any files over. It has its own little system of creating little backups for itself, and it tends to take up a little memory when you do that. If you notice, my memory is already at 2 gigs, roughly, more or less. And you want to be sure that you have plenty of RAM when you're video editing, because it tends to take up a lot the bigger and more advanced projects you get into. So we got a couple clips already loaded here. As you can see, there's a couple more finishing their little exercises. We're going to start by dropping in our music here. It's taking a little more time than usual since I am screen recording at the same time. And while Premiere is good for a lot of things, it tends to be a little fussy when you tend to do other things, especially high memory capacity on the computer. So you kind of want to be careful using it. I've actually lost a couple projects in doing some video editing when I was trying to do a little too much at once. So I'll basically just dragging clips in and splicing them together. What I do is go through and delete audio, so I don't even have to worry about rendering that. It helps quite a bit down the road. And we're going to come in here and time stretch it. For the majority of my projects, the time stretch goes anywhere from 1,000% to about 5,000%. This one I can probably get away with 3,000, or that's 300. Whoops. Excuse me. 3,000, which ends up being about 15 seconds. And we'll have a few more here to drop in. Same process, delete audio. Time stretch, 3,000. Now this first clip I like to fade in, and then the last one I like to fade out. Tends to be a little, after the time stretch, the fade out tends to be a little weird, so I kind of have to adjust the keyframes a bit, which are these little dots on top of the clip. And we can fade it out. Alright, be sure to save often too. You never know when it might change on you a bit. Okay, now before we render our clips, we do want to flip these over, so I can just search right here, flip. And it needs both a horizontal and a vertical, the way you flip it. Because if you just flip vertical, it looks like I'm left-handed, and I'm painting pieces backwards. So you also have to do a horizontal flip as well. And so you do that on every clip. Flip. Okay, there's all my flips, and now we render, which in Premiere is just, you hit it, you first save and then hit enter. And this is where a fast processor is really going to come in handy for you. Any kind of things like that are really going to build up, and generally speaking, let this process be a lot faster. In this case, our rendering time is about as long as the video itself. It's about 4 minutes. So I'm going to pause the recording for the time being and let this render through. But in the meantime, I just do want to say that, you know, again, if the faster your computer have, the faster this little process is going to be. If you have a general stock processor, no overclocking, none of that fancy stuff, on just a computer you bought from like HP or Dell or one of the mainstream vendors, this is probably going to take about twice the time as what it's taking here on my computer. So, back in just a moment. Alright, so we're completely rendered, at least the pre-render anyway, not the final render, of course. So we want to be sure to check, make sure everything is alright. It's bright enough, it's not too blurry or anything, and it seems to be pretty much good. I can collapse the audio from the video since there isn't any, and I can pull up the one from the soundtrack. In which case, I usually take it down just a tiny little bit on the audio level here. I just like to be sure that it's not going to be too crazy when you play a video and the audio levels are off. You know it, and it's absolutely terrible when it happens in a video that you're watching. So it's really clear to watch your videos as you edit them and be sure that your audio levels are fine, because that can be a really difficult thing, and it's sort of a pet peeve of mine to be watching a video and you have a couple clips or something that don't line up and the levels are just completely off. So after the end of the video, I usually put up a section of I got the menu thing up for some reason, I don't know why. Okay, now I'm stuck on something. There we go. Alright, so I like to put up at the end of the video, I put a fade up into the finished piece. Which I tend to put on one side or the other, occasionally down in the middle somewhere if it's a long piece, but in this case I can just stretch it out to around there. Zoom in, make sure the clip isn't too long. I don't want to make it super ridiculous. It seems about 20 seconds, and that's usually pretty good. I want to throw some text on over top, which is often the title of the piece, the size of the piece, which I think is 5 by 5. I'm going to check on that before I finish exporting this video, and usually the medium as well. Now under this, if I was using a song by an artist that releases music under Creative Commons for commercial use, something like Josh Woodward or something, his song title and credit to him as the artist would be underneath this as well. But since it's something I produced myself, I'm able to just keep it just as the information on the piece and leave it at that. Now when I go up, the text usually isn't as long as the video, so we have to make sure those are nice and even. And we can fade that in and out. Fade in, fade out, and now these are identical, fading in and out. And now the last thing I need on the project is my end video screen, which the screen itself is a photo that I kind of edited and played around with in Photoshop. And there's one, I had one for 2012, and the 13 one is just a little different. So I have that, and then I usually pull in a couple videos that I've already created for the year. In this case, I'll toss in the glazing layers video and my show highlights. And of course those need to confirm and index as well. The post screen of course goes after this, and I just have two blank areas for the videos. And now over top of the post screen, I also like to throw in the same audio track I used for the video. I tend to pull the audio not directly from the beginning. I tend to take it somewhere sort of towards the middle, usually an uptake or a downtake in the track. Just kind of watch the little wave lengths in the bar and see this section's a little bit higher, so we can fade in and out here, fade out, and a lot of times I'll just fade out on here. I won't fade in. I'll just have it kind of appear right on top of that. So we want to take our tips, and just like before, we delete the audio. We don't need the whole video, so we cut some of that up. And of course the video is full screen over top of the other, so we have to make sure to resize it and pull it down into our template. Same thing with the other video. Kind of pull it in the middle there. audio, pull it up. And again, this video is over top of the other two, so it's going to take dominance over the two, so you have to be sure to resize it. I try and get them about even. They're not always perfect, but, you know, just to get them close is really all that matters. That's a little too small. There we are. So we have this little bit that's red, we need to render that as well. That won't take anywhere near as long though, since it's much shorter. Totally realized I didn't fade out these other two. So we're going to have to fade out these two and then render again. Anytime there's a change, you need to re-render. Or you make all your changes at once and then just render once. Whatever you feel you need to do. So when that finishes up, it's going to play, and we just make sure everything's leveled and everything looks good. I come over here, share to the computer. I usually export to Windows Media just because it's nice and compact, and it's, you know, I can export to 720p. I can also do 1080p, but with my internet connection it makes it a real pain in the butt to upload, and I usually don't for that reason. So we export to the 2013 folder, and we title it Eon Watchers APTL, Acrylic Painting Time Lapse. That's just sort of my own code. Drawing time lapse is just DTL. So that's pretty much it. That's all it takes to make one of my art videos. That's, you know, as simple as it gets, really, for as a painting time lapse. Now, granted, such things as tutorials, other highlight videos, and things, they take a little more time, a little more effort to kind of cut together. But that is the basic technique, and as long as you can learn how to make a video sort of in a similar fashion, you can make pretty much anything. So, for more tips, tutorials, and other art videos, do stay tuned to the DMC Films channel here on YouTube. This has been. See you guys next time.